Hey, U.S. history students, couple quick things before we get started. Make sure in Schoology you're always going under daily assignment and looking for today's date. I'll put everything we need in there, including videos like this, assignments to complete, discussion threads, etc. So again, under daily assignments in Schoology, find the date of the day we're on. Now, we're going to dive into the First World War a little bit here, and you're going to need a sheet from Schoology under today's date, again, daily assignments. It's going to look like this. It's called Main Causes Note Guide. Usually in class, we actually make a little foldable little origami, right? We fill that out as a group. We're not going to do that because I don't know how well I can demonstrate to make it over YouTube. So there's a sheet here, underlying causes of World War I, that we're going to kind of fill out as we go through these things that helped start the First World War. Make sure you go File, make a copy, and add one to your Google Drive so you can submit it in Schoology when we're done with these next 2 or 3 videos, depending on how long it takes me to get through these 4 things and the assassination. So make sure you find that, open that up. If you need to pause the video, do that to find it and open it, and then we'll get started on the main causes of World War I. So the main thing is an acronym that we use as social studies teachers to try to help explain underlying causes of World War I. And maybe you've had this experience before, but sometimes, right, if I get in a disagreement with my wife, it may be not actually about what we're fighting about, right? There may be underlying causes that have been bubbling under the surface for a while that are causing tension, and something like me misfolding the clothes is the thing that sets off the argument. But it's really not even about the clothes, right? It's about the other stuff that's happened prior to it. And World War I is kind of that. There's these underlying issues causing tension on the European continent, and they happen to fit into a nice little acronym, MAIN. So militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. So first one, we're going to start with the M. Make sure you're filling it out on your Google Doc. But the M is militarism, right? These countries in Europe are building up their militaries to huge numbers. And you can see I put example of a kind of a Cold War, which we'll talk about in the second semester. But if you have a bigger army or more battleships as Germany, then England feels like, well, I got to up my number, right? And we keep elevating the size of armies and navies between these European powers that are at odds with one another. And so you're starting to get to the point where these militaries are huge, they're well equipped, and they're even well prepared with battle plans, etc., for when this First World War starts. And so militarism is causing tension between nations because, well, how big is their military? Ours needs to be at least as big, if not bigger, and just distrust between each other because people know there's battle plans, there's this increasing nasty cycle of bigger and bigger armies and navies. And so, again, that just leads to tension between these kind of competing nations in Europe. The next one, the A, is the alliance system that's going to form. And there's actually, right, if you know what an alliance is, you don't have to write that definition down, but it's an agreement between at least 2 or more people or groups, right, in this case, countries, that's going to benefit all the parties involved. Okay, and we start to get a alliance system forming at the end of something called the Franco-Prussian War, which for this class you can kind of think as France versus Germany. And eventually this European continent is going to be split into 2 kind of separate groups, alliances, camps that are going to be taking part in the beginning of the First World War. Starting on the next video, we will talk about this triple entente, not entente, one of my pet peeves. Okay, versus the Triple Alliance and who actually makes up which group and who belongs to which group. And then we will move into the last 2 as well. So stay tuned, click on the next video. I only get 5 minutes on these, so I'm going to have to finish alliances on the next one, and then we'll start with the other 2, the I and the N.